Before I show you how I made my reveal cake, let me give you a little backstory. Feel free to watch this pregnant woman bust her ass in the kitchen while I blabber on. A few years ago, I saw blue-dyed cake on Facebook, which I found out meant that my friend's baby was going to be a boy. I thought, I like cake. I should make a reveal cake if I ever have a kid. My assumption was that a reveal cake was made by parents to surprise their friends and family with the gender of their baby. What I didn't know was that the expectant parents were also supposed to be surprised by the gender. In addition, reveal cakes are usually the finale to a gender reveal party, which I had no idea was even a thing. How is it that parents are able to get a pink or blue cake made when they don't even know the sex of their baby? Here's what happens. What the parents do is ask the sonographer in advance to write the sex of their baby on a piece of paper. This paper is sealed in an envelope, and that envelope is delivered to a baker or a friend who's then trusted in making the reveal cake. It's not my style to buy a cake or ask friends to make me a cake, but it is my style to torture my mom with information she needs to know. So here we are. Now on to making the cake. I'm using a yellow cake recipe from Cooks Illustrated, The Science of Good Cooking. This is one of my favorite cookbooks because they come up with the best recipe and then they explain why the recipe kicks ass using science. First, mix the dry ingredients. 2.5 cups of cake flour, 1 1/4 teaspoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 1/2 cups of granulated sugar. Sift these together. Set the bowl aside. Now we mix the wet. 1 cup room temperature buttermilk, 10 tablespoons of melted and cooled butter, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 6 egg yolks. Whisk together. Because my buttermilk was still cold, the butter solidified, becoming clumpy. So just make sure your buttermilk is at room temperature before you begin. Next, whipping the egg whites, which by the way is the key, according to Cooks Illustrated, to getting a light, delicate cake. Place 3 egg whites and a pinch of cream of tartar in a stand mixer. Whip on medium-low for 1 minute. Increase the speed to medium-high, whip 1 more minute. Add in 1/4 cup of sugar and whip 2 to 3 more minutes until stiff peaks form. Transfer to another bowl. Place your dry ingredients in the now empty mixing bowl. Add your wet to dry and mix on low for 15 seconds. Scrape down the bowl. Increase the speed to medium-low and mix for another 15 seconds. Now it's time to fold in the whipped egg whites. At this point, I almost forgot the most important part, which is the dye. If you're having a girl, use red dye. If it's a boy, use blue dye. Since my family lives several states away and are currently watching this video, this next part is going to be in black and white. So I folded in the egg whites with the dye and folded the batter until no white streaks remained. My tip is to add the dye earlier because I might have overmixed the batter by adding the dye too late. Now, divide the batter into greased, floured cake pans. Gently tap the pans to release any air bubbles. I kind of forgot to do the gentle part. Place cakes in a 350-degree oven. Bake for 20 to 22 minutes until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Now for me, baking took over 30 minutes, probably because I kept opening the oven to check on them. Once the cakes are done, let them rest on a wire rack for 10 minutes. Then it's time to remove the cake from the pans. I first ran a butter knife along the sides so they'd easily pop out. And then I let them cool for 2 hours. I then got started on the cream cheese frosting. I found this recipe on Martha Stewart's website, and it's awesome because there isn't a ton of sugar compared to the other recipes. In a mixer, cream together 1 1/2 packages of cream cheese and 1 1/2 sticks of butter. Then add 1 1/2 cups of confectioner sugar and 1 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Cream these together. And that's it. To give more flavor to the filling between the layers, I took a 1/2 cup of frosting and mixed it with a few spoonfuls of jam. If it's a boy, you should use blueberry jam. And if it's a girl, you should use strawberry jam. Now on to assemble the cake. First, I cut off the mounded tops. That, of course, is getting saved for later. I placed 1 layer on top of my cake stand. I added the filling, making sure not to spread it too far to the edges, because if you do, and you put that second layer on top, it just smushes all over the place. I then added the second layer. At this point, my tip is to add some skewers to keep the cake layers from sliding. Because I didn't do this, I almost spilled filling on the sides of my cake. If the colored filling were to mix with the frosting, it would defeat the point of masking the color of the cake. As I frosted the cake, it was actually nerve-wracking because if one colored crumb showed up on the surface, then there would be no surprise. But I had plenty of frosting and decorations to go on the cake, so I really didn't have to worry. I then added some decorative icing. My husband couldn't find pink, so we went with red. I don't usually write on cakes, and this is typical of what happens whenever I do. Maybe it makes more sense to add more sugar to the frosting so it's not so wet. But I really did like that the frosting wasn't crazy sweet. I then added some hazelnuts to the side, and voila! Reveal cake done! Wow! Before we cut into this reveal cake, my mom called me. She knew the day of my sonogram appointment, and she's like, "Oh, how was your appointment?" I was like, "It went well. What's the sex?" "I'm not gonna tell you yet. I don't like that." I said, "Mom, I'm gonna make a video of a reveal cake. Do you know what a reveal cake is?" And she's like, "Yeah." We're just talking, and then she's like, "I'm gonna give you some money for your baby." And I was like, "Thanks, Mom, that's great. But you have to tell me the sex." And I said, "No! I'm going to show that video to the doctors, and they're gonna tell me what the sex is." And I'm like, "You know what a reveal cake is, right?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, you don't." Anyways, let's cut into it. You need to cut it like that way.
Oh, that's right, I do. You know, we're missing milk.
Oh yeah, we should have some milk.
Yeah, we should definitely have some milk. Come on, Filipinos like spoons, don't they? When they eat stuff?
Yeah, can I get a spoon?
Oh, that's right. I'm missing candles, though.
No candles.
All right. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm ready. I wonder if they're ready. No crumbs, no crumbs, no crumbs.
Oh.
Oh. It's
Tell them what happened when we were in the sonogram room.
we got to see our baby.
What was your reaction when you found out it was a girl?
Ha!
Yeah. The night before my appointment, I had a dream. I was on the phone with John's friend Feeny. I said, "Oh, guess what our baby is? It's a boy, right?" I was confused because I was like, how do I know it's a boy? So it fast forwarded to like 15 years later. I had this daughter and she was super smart and she wanted to get into irrigation science. She wanted to cure California of drought. So I was actually kind of relieved when I found out it was a girl. The worst thing about finding out it was a girl was that
The best thing about finding out.
No, that's like crap. I was already set on the name Oliver.
And
And
give her so many issues.
I went online, I looked up this TV show that I like.
What?
The Witches of East End. They have cool names on that show.
You didn't tell me this when you were sending me the list.
Anyways, one of the characters was named Ava. So I looked up Ava, and that is from Aveline. The more American form of that, Aveline, is Evelyn. And so I give John this huge list of names, and John chose Aveline.
Yay!
There's a city in Italy called Avella, and basically back in the day it was filled with fruit trees, filled with high quality hazelnuts. That's how you get, for Spanish, Avellana. For Portuguese, it's Avela, I think. And in French, it's Aveline.
Let's eat! Yay!
Yay!
Mm.
Okay, say bye to everyone. Bye! What am I gonna put in? What are you doing, weirdo? Take your American fork away from me.
Go get a better knife then if you want. You can go get the blue stuff.
Ew, baby, really? You didn't even get forks! God, do I have to tell you everything? But she wanted to help cure Shut up!